This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
Proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museums will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back.
MisFitNation. MisFitNation. The MisFitNation show.
We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their stories to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the Misfit Nation. If you're a musician or an actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and show how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or feel embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation show. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast app. Also on our YouTube channel at @_MisFitNation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date on our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show!
All right. Welcome back to the MisFitNation. We are live tonight. We are in Watertown, New York. We have a great guest coming on. Plus, we also have a member of our road crew coming on to hang out with us tonight and give a little eulogy for a family member who we lost this week as well. And they'll stay with us for the show. First, I'll give an end of watch brief. We lost another police officer, Jameson Ritter, Cleveland Division of Police, Ohio, end of watch July 4th, 2024. So keep Officer Ritter's family, friends, and coworkers in your thoughts and prayers as they go through this tough time. And now I'm going to bring in Michael from the road crew. Last week, we were having a great time, enjoying life, and then, of course, life happens. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
So, Michael, tell us what's going on and what occurred this week and how the tragedy that has occurred, and we lost a great man.
Yeah, so we actually lost Staff Sergeant William Danielson, Army Ranger, 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment. He's a great man. Did great father, great husband. He really was a great guy. We lost him to esophageal cancer, and he was just really a tragic thing.
Definitely is, and I remember I got to meet him just a couple of years ago down in Gatlinburg. Went down there, hung out with him. His wife, his daughter was there. Katrina, her mom, all the kids were there. He just seemed like a great guy to sit there. We had a couple of beers with him. I had to drive. Can't drink a lot when you drive. It's not safe. Don't do that, people. And yeah, so we had a great time chatting with him, and he was full of life then. And then it wasn't long after that when this diagnosis started. And they tried so many different things. And God rest them, and you guys are in our thoughts and prayers as well. You have to be strength right now on that side of the family.
Yeah, definitely. It started, 3 years ago. And then it actually took a turn for the worse not too long ago, and he only had hours, and then it really took a turn, and it wasn't good after that.
So it wasn't long after you guys got home from working the race that you got the news. So it's a bad news to come home to. But
yeah, it was, and then
I was able to come together and be with them and stuff like that now and into the future.
Right. And then, tomorrow we're actually going to the viewing and everything tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm here in New Jersey right now. So, but it's gonna be a tough one, really tough. He's been there ever since I started dating his niece. Whenever we were, 16 years old in middle school. So I've known him ever since then.
You're just young pups.
Yeah.
So now you have all the things he taught you along the way. Keep those thoughts, all the good things in your mind, and that's all we can do is keep all the good thoughts. And don't dwell on what you're gonna. Tomorrow's gonna be a horrible day for most people to see what he looks like now. But keep looking forward. Keep looking to the things he did. He did to make you happy. Things that he did awesome to be a great dad, everything like that. So keep all those thoughts and keep pushing everyone to think about the good times, not the bad times.
Right. No, he was New Jersey Devil fan. He was a New York Mets fan. He was like, his whole downstairs basement is full of New Jersey Devils and New York Mets memorabilia. He's also a New York Giants fan. He was also Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Earnhardt Sr. fan. He was really into it.
So he really had one thing he did wrong was go for the Devils. He should have went for the Rangers. He would have had all the sports right there. But I won't hold that against him in his memory. I'll give him the Devils in that case. All right, Michael. Let's start talking about our guest tonight. She's a multi-published author and speaker who writes and speaks about diverse topics ranging from faith and spirituality to motherhood, parenting, and family to grief and loss, which ties into what we just talked about now. So what do you think?
Right.
Let's get her on here.
Yep, definitely. Let's go.
All right, welcome, Michaela. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all? Thank you for having me. And I'm truly sorry to hear about your family's loss and the tragedy of it. And I know that too well. So sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Michaela, I just gave basically a sentence and a half about you right there. So if you don't mind, tell us a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got here today.
Yeah, I am an author and I'm a speaker. I do have 14 books out right now. I'm always working on something. As a matter of fact, this afternoon I was writing away at a rough draft I've got going right now. I need to finish up. I do have 6 series I'm building out. I'll keep adding. I like to write about all those various different topics you talked about, but in some of the Pacific series, I'm sure we'll talk about, I also talk about my journey of what I call, it will not be what y'all think it is when I say this, 38 triple D. Has nothing to do with physical attribution, okay? It has to do with, from day one when I was born, I've learned to travel a journey of going from surviving to thriving. What would be lifelong disability of legal blindness, which is the first D, and then a divorce in 2005. And then I was blessed and fortunate to meet the love of my life not long after getting divorced in 2005. And then in 2017, we lost him and he passed away. And I became, through death, a military widow and a single solo mom of our 2 kids at the time. And I was age 38. So disability, divorce, and death by the age of 38, hence 38 triple D. And it's taught me a lot of stuff. There's a quote that says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That is true. But the author version of that is what doesn't kill you gives you a heck of a lot to write about. So hence so many books. But anyway, so I'm an open book. And what do you want to know?
You definitely can write a series on each of the D's, definitely. And then combining all 3 of them together into your life journey. I'm sure writing that gives you that prose to breathe a little easier and know that something you wrote might help someone else that's going through one of those D's along the way.
Exactly. That's why I do it. I want to empower others on their own journey of whatever they're surviving, because my tribulations or trials may not be theirs and theirs aren't mine, but you still need what would help you get through whatever you were going through. So yes.
Michael, you have anything?
No, definitely. That sounds like a really, really rough journey right off the rip, but it seems like that you, excuse me, while I move into the house here, mosquitoes are eating me alive. No, definitely.
Not in Louisiana.
Yeah, they're carrying me away out there. Oh my goodness, had to find a good light there, but no, it sounds like that you're on the correct path. 14 books. That sounds like an amazing way to start.
Thank you.
When did you know that you could actually write your story and where you had that passion to write?
I've always written. Like, I was a little bit of a weird kid. I was in 2nd grade. So this is like, I don't know, 86, 87, somewhere there. I'm showing my age. I was born in 78. I think it must have been the Supreme Court decision about how burning of the American flag falls under the purview of the First Amendment right. I don't agree. How they came to that conclusion beats the crap out of me. But the point is, somewhere in my second grade mind, I thought, this isn't right. I need to tell the world what I think about it. And so I'm going to go write an editorial. What 2nd grader thinks about writing an editorial, never mind on politics? I guess it was me. Anyway, like I said, I was a bit of an odd duck. And then in 4th grade, I wrote my first poem. So I've always been called to write, always felt drawn to it. I figured, no one told me go write. It's just something I always did. And I guess it came to me because I felt like, knowing with my vision that if nothing else, if I could, as long as I had my words and my voice and I could write them, no one could take that from me. And I could always express myself and put things out into the world. obviously what I write today, is different from when I'm a kid. Dear God, I hope so, or we're in trouble. Um, but I think the first time I realized I could do something with it was in 9th grade with my English teacher. She recognized I had a gift and thought I was talented in it, and that she encouraged me and showed me that this could really turn into something. And so I kind of always picked at it for a long time. And then I was able to finally start writing reasonably full time after I got out of grad school. So,
like you said, I hope that you morphed a little more from 2nd grade to now. And
yeah, I hope so.
unless you were just a prodigy in 2nd grade.
No, I was not. No,
I wasn't. It's a little different to write when you're a 2nd grader, writing to write with pure emotion, pure fantasy, or pure, I guess, guidance from what you've seen on TV with the Supreme Court decision.
I think we were talking about it in school, or my parents were talking about it. I don't know. I don't even remember. That's the only thing I can figure. It was so long ago.
And so, like you said, but you still kept at it now 14 books later. I'm sure you, like you said today, you started hunting and pecking away at writing. And that's something a lot of writers do. They just, all of a sudden they get that urge to write, or some of them have scheduled times. Do you usually have a scheduled time where you just sit in front of the computer and just hunt out and write?
I don't remember who said it, but I heard a quote one time that another author was asked, what is the trick to writing, or being an author? And she said, whoever it was, applying the ass to the seat. So it does come down to, yes, it's wonderful when the amazing goddess of creation and inspiration and youth comes to your brain and just sets you on fire, and your fingers are a flurry typing away. But I promise you that does not happen every day. It does not. It would be nice, but it does not. So it really comes down to your dedication and your commitment to, regardless whether you're feeling inspired or not. And I've lived through different seasons in my life with different requirements or obligations or commitments on my time. So my level of time that I had to devote to my craft was not the same in all seasons. But the trick is finding wherever you find yourself in whatever season of life with whatever responsibilities, that you take whatever works for you. If that's 30 minutes a week, if that's 30 minutes a day, whether that's 2 hours one day a week, I don't really care how it works out. But the point is, you find some designated time and you let everybody know, unless someone's dying or bleeding or the house is on fire, leave me the crap alone. This is for writing and writing alone. And the reason why I say that is not to be, indifferent or insensitive, because hard seasons will come. We will always find a reason or an excuse to say, oh, I can't do that now, and then I'll do that later, and then later never comes. So just like anything that's really important to you, you have to find a way to be committed to it. And I promise you, whatever is bugging you in the house or calling your name to go do something else, it's probably, unfortunately, not going anywhere after whatever time you decided to go in your cave or your coffee shop, wherever you write, and then get that done off your plate. Then you can go attend to the other things. So that's the way I do it. Now that my kids are older and both in school, God help me, one's fixing to be in high school, and the other one's in 5th grade. I try and write during the summer, but most of my writing time that I do for the year is done while they're in school. From once they're off at school during the day, I'll start my day and get ready, and then by 9 o'clock, unless I have a meeting, I'm usually writing away on my keyboard.
Outstanding. And Michael is going through basically the same thing with kids about the same age right now. So he has one.
Oh yeah.
So he has a daughter, his oldest daughter. She's about ready to go to high school or middle school now. Middle, right?
Yeah, she's at the end of middle school, getting ready to. She's at the last year of middle school, getting ready to go into high school currently.
Yeah.
So he's starting to shave his head so he doesn't have to pull his hair out and stuff.
Oh my! I'm telling you, the trips to school are already starting.
There it goes.
Yep.
So, Michaela, when you write, which one of the topics gives you the most passion when you're writing, or do they all equally depends on the day?
They all do, but usually the way I do it, a lot of writers talk about, I want to do a certain amount of hit, like a certain amount of word count a day. And that's fine. That's a good process. But I tend to look at the whole project, where, let's say, I know during the school year, unless it's like a holiday or break or something, I've got 5 days a week to write. And I usually devote 2 or 3 hours in the morning, as long as my eyes will let me write and not go, you've lost your mind, woman. If you don't stop, we're going to, say screw you. But, and then I'll take a break and then I'll continue or whatever. But I look at the project, and if I've mapped out an outline of, I don't know, 40 chapters, whatever, and I write 2 a day, depending on the subject matter, then I know that book will probably be done in a month. And so then I look at my writing time needing me to hit, as long as I can, as close to getting 2 chapters done. Now, some books are more challenging depending on the content matter. Like a lot of motherhood and the parenting stuff that I want to tell my kids about, or the faith, is I'm literally just writing what's in my head. So I can scurry, type more faster. But with politics and the series that I'm writing, the draft that I'm writing for book 2 and that one, I can do what's in my head, but it's not as stringent as academic writing like you would in college or grad school. And it's not as quite as simple as creative writing. You have to do that right balance of you're creating what you want to say, but you still show a little credibility so people know you actually know what the crap you're talking about. So it does take a little bit longer, but I still can knock out probably out a chapter and a half or 2 in a day. So it just depends.
That's good. I know you said you don't go by the word count, and I've had authors on here that want to do 10,000 words in the morning or whatever. They wake up and try to hit X amount of thousand words. I was on the plane today and there was no Wi-Fi, so I wrote 4 pages of my new book during the flight in a little tiny airplane with 3 rows, with me sitting next to another big guy on my right and hanging into the aisle while typing. So I was able to do it and not annoy people. So I had fun.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, if a word count works for you, Godspeed. But I just know that that's my approach. There's no wrong or right answer. It's just whatever works best for you. And I'm thinking about how fast do I want to get the project done, because I'm usually juggling more than one. And like I said, because even though my kids are older, they're still at home, and I like to really be in the moment during the summer. So I don't want to be working all the time. So I try to get as much writing done during the school year. So if I know I need 5 or 6 books written in a year, I'm trying to do that in 9 months. So it's really important to me to try and do it project by project. So
definitely. And when you're doing speaking, which subject do you think resonates most with your audience, or do you have pinpointed audiences when you go?
I have pinpointed audiences, but I think, for better or for worse, I think not everyone is going to be in your niche. Like, I think everyone should care about politics, but not everyone does. That's just my humble opinion. And if you're a parent, then you're going to want the parenting stuff. And if you're a mom, you're going to want that, but not everyone's that. But unfortunately, for better or for worse, there's 100% chance that at some point, every one of us is going to deal with grief. Yep. It's not an option to deal with it. Well, I mean, I guess you could choose not to deal with it, and that's not exactly healthy and probably not going to do you any favors. But the point is, every one of us knows we are not getting out of this life alive. And so we're all going to encounter grief at some point on our journey. So, and that while I talk about adversity and overcoming from a grief standpoint, I'm really, and we can get into this if y'all want, the 5 keys that I've used on my journey, but I really learned those keys earlier on than I did when I lost my husband in 2017. Because even though I talk about it in the context of grief, it's really what you need to overcome no matter what you're doing. Because while I did use them to get through a disability and a divorce and losing a spouse, and still grappling with that and all the things that go into that of being a single mom and a widow and journeying through life without your person, it really is applicable and kind of universal, to anything and everything that you want to come. Because if we as individuals choose the option of not being beaten by this and want to keep going and overcome, no matter what you're overcoming, it still takes the same skill set. So it really works to just about anything you could apply it to in life that might be a challenge for someone that they're trying to work through.
Definitely. I think if you go into your process through grief, that might help Michael and his immediate family right there in Jersey right now, as they're right in the throes of the first cycle of grief right now, the shock and awe.
Yep. Like I said, I didn't phrase these the way I do now than when I was a kid, but I was raised with the idea of you don't give up, you don't quit, you don't stop, and you do your best. With my disability. So I had to apply those when I was a kid, even though I didn't really word it in a way that, adults would. So I just started doing it. And then when you learn how to do something once, and then you go through the next thing, you're like, oh, I know how to do this. I've done this before. So I applied the same things of not letting my divorce and my very interesting first marriage, which is what led to divorce situation, not stop me. And then I knew that no matter how hard it would be in grief, that I would have to apply the same things. And what I'm talking about is I talked about this in my Now I See series, and then I decided to do a more, it does tell my story, but it kind of walks people through the journey of grief with the application of I think it came out in April. This is a problem when you have too many books. You can't remember what one came out when. Anyway, it's called Finding Grace Through Grief. And what I talk about is the 5 keys of grace. And I centered it around the word grace. So you have the G, the R, the A, the C, and the E. So the first one is grounding. When you go through a life storm, whether it's grief or something else, and it just literally knocks you on your ass, for lack of a better term, you need something to hold you strong and to hold you steady when you feel like your world is crumbling around you and it's literally been knocked out from underneath you. For me, it personally is my faith in Christianity, but I realize that's not everyone's path. I think it's the best path, but I realize that's part of the great thing about our country. You have the freedom to be religious or not. I can only speak for myself. Maybe for someone else who's not religious, maybe they have a different belief system or a different path of spirituality, or maybe it's their family and their friends, or maybe it's their belief that they know they can do anything they put their mind to. Whatever that is, it's holding them steady in a really horrible situation and season of life. And then you look at the R, and it's the redesign. I talk about, because in my case, well, let's back up and say this first. In life, sometimes the circumstances that come our way, we created, and then sometimes we didn't choose them. They just kind of like, I literally did not choose to be born totally blind from the moment I came into this world. Had taken barely my first breath, then I'm already blind, okay? And then do visual impairment and legal blindness my whole entire life. I've never had a day where I wasn't and will not see through my eyes normally like everyone else. It's just, it is what it is. I did walk away from my first marriage, but I did not choose the circumstances that led to that. It was my husband's decisions that made it no longer workable. And I dang sure didn't choose to lose my husband, the love of my life, and my children, who were 6 and 3 at the time, lose their father. But what we do get to choose with the R is redesign, meaning that we don't have to be defined by our circumstances. We can choose to define it for ourselves. And I'm sure you guys have heard this expression, basically hold my beer and sit back and watch me do it. I don't do well with the word no, in the respect of, if you tell me I can't do it, that's pretty much a sure bet. Probably going to happen, with few exceptions. Legal blindness and driving really don't need to go together. So you're welcome. I'm public service, community service, staying off the roads. Okay. So you don't have to worry about that, but you find other ways around it. Like if you can't move the mountain, you go under the mountain, over the mountain, through the mountain, whatever it takes to get the job done. And so when you're faced with something, when your life is falling apart and you go, okay, I have basically a blank slate now. What do I want? While I may not have wanted the circumstances I'm in, what do I want next? So you get to choose and be in the driver's seat of designing something new and different. Maybe not what you want. Maybe it's not what you thought your life would be, but you get to choose that. You can choose to say, this really freaking sucks and screw everything. And I'm done. Or
Still hear me, Michael?
Yeah, I still got you, Rich.
I think we lost our guest there.
I think so. May have been a Wi-Fi glitch or something.
Guess I thought it was going to be mine with the hotel, but we'll give her a minute here to come back.
Yep, definitely.
Were you getting anything from the tools she was providing there? She gave, I think, 3 of the tools right there.
Yeah.
Gaining any knowledge there?
Yeah, it was. So being able to reach out and grieve with whoever is grieving at the same, y'all grieve in different ways. And I totally get that. Like mine started out like, why, I don't know, but it started out as anger, and why we don't have a cure yet. We can fly things into space, shoot things down out of midair, but we don't have a cure for the human body. Okay, so, and the reason of why was really big apparent to me. Like, how do we not understand this already?
Definitely. I think that gets a lot of people when they lose someone they love. Why us? Why them? Or why them, not me? Or
right.
In combat, especially, it's always why not me? Why was it them? So you can do that, and that'll just make it a lot harder. And that's what we see with our brothers and sisters who were losing to 22, 44 a day. They blame themselves for things they could not control. You can't control where a bullet hits. You can't control who falls out of a helicopter. You can't control who gets shot. You have to be able to understand things are going to happen. But then when you get into our world now, the civilian world, it's really hard when you see a person that you look up to, someone that's been there for you and Katrina since you were just young kids, 16 years old, good Lord, babies, and all the advice he gave you, all the good times y'all had together, and then something that we've been battling for the better part of, I'd say, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years, cancer.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And
like
like everybody's slogan, cancer sucks.
Yes.
It does. It does. And you know what? Like I told most of my buddies, like I want Big Pharma's number. The way that they're making, like I feel like it's just a money ploy, and I just cannot stand that. Like that is, just give it up. You got. I think that you have the answer. I know, like, call me naive, but I think that you have the answer. I know that you have the answer. We're able to, cars are able to drive themselves now. And yes.
I am so sorry, guys. Okay. So this actually is a really good thing right now that just literally life happens, improves in my point. I'm a perfectionist, so I could apologize for the next 5 minutes because I'm so more mortified that my computer decided to just do whatever the hell it wanted, excuse my French, and go on about I'm freaking out because I can't get back on and these guys are waiting for me and blah, 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 blah. Or I could choose to say, sorry about that. Life happens. Technology is interesting at times, but here I am. I didn't leave. My computer decided something weird. So I can choose in this moment to let this bother me for the next 3 hours, like I probably will in my head, or I can just go on with our great conversation. So I think y'all were having a good conversation, so sorry for interrupting. So my point was in redesign, my computer. Are y'all still there?
Yep, still here.
Okay, my computer is wigging out on me right now. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I can choose to be a victim of my circumstances or be a victor and redefine it for myself. So we get to choose how we want to design our life. I often say, like, if you're playing poker or something and you're dealt hands, you don't get to control what you're dealt. But if you're a smart poker player in a card game you're choosing and play them well, hopefully you'll win the game to your, and to your advantage. So that's the R. And then the A is learn to live in abundance, which not financially, although that's great. I'm not a financial girl. I have a financial planner. I'm talking about mindset, how we manage our mental space to work for us and not keep us from the path that we're on. And I think that's sometimes I think that's more challenging than the choices because we can make the choice, but there's a reason why we know in American society we talk about mind over matter and that if you set your mind to it, you can do anything. I really think that's the master key to everything because what we think very much affects maybe our actions and our choices and our emotions and then what we do with them. So there's that part. And then the C is choosing care over chaos and confusion and clarity with care. And that's very much about what you do for yourself so that you can have a good, healthy mindset to stay true to your choices that you're being grounded in. And then the last part of this equation of finding grace through grief is the E of equipment, being essentially equipped for your journey. So getting whatever you need that allows you to do what you need to do to travel this journey. Yes, that was a lot of information with an annoying technological interruption. What were y'all talking about?
We actually were talking about what you had given us so far as tools, and I asked Michael if those are things that would help him in his time, and we're actually having a good conversation about their stages they're going through right now,
right?
And the whys behind the why. The why is the question a lot of people ask. We were talking about why did this happen? Why did this happen? And why couldn't this be stopped? And things like that. Things you can't control is what we usually ask.
Yep,
that's what we were talking about right before you popped back on.
I mean, I lost my husband who served in the military. He was also a staff sergeant in the Army. Very suddenly and unexpectedly, like he went out that night to go do homework because he was finishing up a school program. And he said, bye, love you, see you tonight. I'm like, okay, babe, whatever. See you tonight, our usual, when you walk out the door. And then it had been what I thought was already a frustrating day. I had no earthly idea what day I was going to end up with. And I got the kids in bed and I said, screw it, I'm going to bed. I'm exhausted, whatever. and then it was I was on the East Coast at the time because we lived in New Hampshire. About 8:45 or 9 o'clock that night. I was almost off to sleep, like in dreamland. Okay. I was pretty much settled, cozy and comfy and curled up in my warm, cozy bed. I hear a knock on the door and I'm thinking, you know what? Put your keys down, open up the door and get your butt in bed because I'm ready to be with you. I heard another knock. I'm like, fine, I'll get up out of my warm bed and go open up the door. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was 2 police officers from the Manchester Police Department to tell me that John, my husband, had gone. So also unexpectedly and very sudden and not what I expected. And so you are filled with a lot of questions and trying to figure out what could have been done differently or how this could have gone down differently. What did I, blah, 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 whatever. So yeah, you are filled with a lot of questions and uncertainty and unknown that really are hard to struggle with for a lot of people.
Thanks for sharing that with us. And of course, we're sorry for the loss of the love of your life.
Yep. Thank you.
And that's, like you said, you give the usual goodbye hug, or I'll see you later, peace, love you, bye. And they don't come back. That's a rough one. That's a rough one for anyone to go through. So we appreciate you sharing that with us.
Too. That's my process that I've used to get through all of the D's on my journey and, that I use now and still use. And I think they're good ideas, concepts, and skill sets to have in your tool belt for anyone who's going through anything. Because I think, like I said, I think they're very applicable to just about any situation when you're trying to overcome something.
Definitely is. And I'm guessing he was either recruiting or something at the time in New Hampshire when this happened.
No, we met in Louisiana in 2005, about 3 months after I'd gotten divorced, even though I had been away from my now ex-husband for about a year. So I felt ready to step out into the dating world. And he had been out of military service for that was 2005. By the time he got back in the Louisiana National Guard in 2006, about 9 years, because he was older than me. My kids just think that's the weirdest thing in the world that I dated someone and married someone that was almost 15 years older than me. When we met in 2005, he was 41 and I was 26. So totally legit legal. Although there's some funny stories, a way of thinking about that, because when I was born in 78, he signed up in June 30th of 82, excuse me. So I was like 3.5 when he signed up for the military first time. And then when I was in 6th grade, he was trekking across the God knows where in Kuwait or Iraq or wherever in Desert Storm and whatnot. And then when he was in Michigan recruiting, in 94 to 97, I was in high school when he had his first 2 kids in his first marriage. So I'm like, okay, this is weird. But, it's not really about the age after a certain point. It just worked. And so you go with it. But, yeah, we met in Louisiana and then he decided he wanted to get back into military service after having 9 years off. And so he signed up for the Louisiana National Guard. And, I'm sure y'all remember what was going on in our country at that time. That was almost 3.5 years after 9/11. And so we were, I'm not saying that we're not active now, but comparatively speaking to that time, we were very much sending people in and out, quick turnarounds, like no one's business, as, in response to a national crisis per se. And so he got in the Louisiana National Guard. He went in as a E6. And then he had the feeling that they were going to ship out again, which is fine. And he ended up his unit in Louisiana did end up going March of 2008. But he decided at the age he was 43 at the time when we got married. So he was like, I got no problem going and serving. I've done it and I'll do it again. But, that's a young man's job, beating down doors and kicking in doors. And I'm 43. I'm going to switch career paths in the military. So he, for the ones that know military jargon, IST, interstate, transferred to New Hampshire with the unit he was with that was medical detachment. And so he started doing different things in New Hampshire with that unit. So that's why we got up to New Hampshire.
Okay. That's a crazy curve too, go from Louisiana to there. It's way different weather.
Yeah, tell me about it. This Southern girl wasn't happy about it either.
You've probably seen snow for the first time in your life, so felt it.
We get it every once in a while down here, but it ain't nothing like it is up north and on the East Coast. I'm like, I got used to it. I accepted it. My Southern feathers were not happy, and they're like, "What is wrong with you, woman? don't you know birds go south for the winter? Why in the heck are you taking us north for the winter? Like, what is your problem? You're going against nature. Anyway. So, yeah. It was an adjustment. Because I've always lived in Texas and Louisiana my whole life, and I'm back in Louisiana now.
You don't get a lot of lasting snow in either of those states.
Not really.
Me in Tennessee, if it snows a little bit, everything shuts down. But
exactly, it shuts down here too. They don't know what to do with it. They don't have the equipment.
But for Michael and his wife, it's pretty commonplace to have snow all year long.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than you go to bed.
Here's what I found.
There's like no snow on the ground or not falling, and then you wake up to snow plow noise. I'm like, oh crap. Okay, I know what kind of day I'm gonna have.
Definitely.
Like, whatever.
So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years with your writing, with your speaking, and all your engagements?
Well, in 5 years, my daughter will be in college, and my son will be starting out in high school. So it will free me up to maybe do some more extensive speaking, because I do want to speak more, but I feel like I still need to be home a lot. Like, I don't want to be on the road all the time. But I hope that I will be writing and added more books to each of my series, along with another series or two that I'm playing with. And then I'd like to see what we've talked about, the finding grace through grief, discovering the 5 keys to go finding grace in grief, maybe built out into a course that could help people, or maybe have it in churches for like a group type study, or maybe coaching. I don't know. I'm starting to play with that now and see where it goes. But those are kind of my endeavors right there.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta start thinking about that, spreading it out of the speaking. That'll get your story out to more people, maybe help a wider network of audience.
I did my TEDx talk in September 2003, and then I've done a lot of podcasting. That's my main of like being on a podcast like with you guys and other ones. That's my main way that I get my message out into the world right now, is through interviews like this.
A quick shout out to my brother Willis. Me and him had a little disagreement the other day, and I kind of went silent on him. But brother, I'm still with you, and happy birthday! Don't get all wet in that lake you're at today. Have fun and come back to us and get your show back on the road, brother. So, how does someone get a copy of the 14 books of your library? I should say.
Yeah, it's getting there. They're all on Amazon under Michaela S. Cox is how I'm published, and then I have my website of myheartfeltmeditations.com. I would like to say, and this probably would be helpful for your family as well, when you talk about grief, there's no expiration date on it. There's no time limit. It's not as nice and tidy as people would like to think of it. As like, oh, okay, I can cross that off my list and okay, done. No, not really. It doesn't work that way. It can be like a boomerang and knock you on your butt when you least expect it, which is not fun, but it's true. And I would say be willing to know that it's your journey and your journey alone, meaning that while you're not alone, no one who hasn't been through it especially can tell you how to travel your journey. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable with the uncomfortable, and know that as long as you're traveling it your way, that's right for you and who you're responsible for, that's all that matters. No one can pass judgment and tell you how to travel something they know nothing about. And that I do believe self-care is extremely important in grief. It helps you keep your head above water and figure out your way in it. And then knowing to give yourself a lot of kindness and be gentle and grace with yourself.
Definitely. Michael, any parting questions?
No, it's no, definitely like what she was just saying. A song just came on that Bill used to listen to. It just overwhelming emotion just came over me. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Like there was a double rainbow just the other day, and that was just like kind of a sign that that was his mom. That was his mom and him. There was 2 rainbows. One was very apparent that, as I took of like just crossing over and going, to the other side. And then one was a little more faded, and that was his mom, welcoming over. So it was just kind of like, wow, like that. I kind of took it, and it was just kind of like, like that's just really, really, it was kind of odd at how it all happened all at once. But in the same token, like, I do believe in coincidences, and coincidences happen for a reason, I believe.
Definitely. I
Yep.
was in Italy just 3 weeks ago now. We were on a bus driving through in Sicily, going to a winery, going through the back countries, all the vineyards and stuff. And I was just looking out the window and I'm thinking, my mom would have loved this place, but mom passed in 2019. And then right after I said that, bus driver in Italy plays Sweet Caroline, her favorite song. And I got the chills through my body. I text my brother right there from Italy. He got the chills in his body. So, and whenever you have these, you'll have memories about those you love. No matter where you go, you'll see something that reminds you of them. Or something will happen to say how they would have laughed their butt off to that, or something that would have been something they loved. Or it, like for you, Michael, you might go to NASCAR and see Dale Jr. walking down pit row and say, Bill would have loved that. Or you would have seen Kyle Larson crash to a bunch of tires just earlier. Whatever. But you gotta take the good with the bad and understand that those memories are there forever, and kind of just grow with it. Like Michaela said, no one grieves the same. No two of us grieve the same. The stages are different for each of us. You just got to ride the waves when they come.
Right, definitely.
Michaela, what 3 pieces of advice would you give the audience to maybe get them through their grief cycle?
Well, that's kind of what I would tell anyone, especially new in grief, is that it's your own journey. You're not alone, even though it can be very lonely, but you do need to figure out how you want to travel it, because only you can travel it for you. And that be kind and grace and gentle with yourself and give yourself the time and the space. Now, as far as in more general terms outside of grief, I always say that life is short and there's no promises or guarantees of what, of it continuing or having what we'll have. There's no promises of that. So give it your best shot and choose well, so that in your choosing well, you can live your best life and thrive.
Definitely. Michaela, thank you for taking some of your time tonight and battling through the technical wizardry that we have on these computers nowadays. We all do it. You see Michael fighting with the mosquitoes earlier, trying to find the perfect spot in New Jersey to sit, have the light and talk to us. I'm in a hotel room battling darkness all around me with crazy lighting. So we all battled technology, but you battled it like a champ, and me and Michael just kind of picked it up and kept chatting. Once we realized it was you that left and not us. So
I just hate that it happened. I'm like, oh crap. But you roll with it and you figure it out and you do the next thing and you overcome it. So it was perfect for where I was at and what I was telling you guys. I'm like, okay, there you go. Life lesson right there. Tangible object lesson. But thank you for having me, and I enjoyed the conversation, and I hope it helps someone, and good luck to your I hope your family finds their way in this season, because I know it is hard. Like, it's been 7 years for our family, and it gets easier in some ways it doesn't, but then you still find your way. I figured some things out, some things I haven't. I'm not here to say I have all the answers, but I can share what I do know.
Definitely. Thank you so much. Michael, any last words?
No, thank you so much for your words and everything. And just like how me and Rich know this, it's how we overcome adversity, just overcoming adversity and learning how to bounce back from the situation.
Yep.
Definitely.
All you can do.
All right. You have a great night.
All right. Y'all too. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is a message from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Got a question about your VA benefits, healthcare, or eligibility? Go to va.gov, where you can access a new interactive chatbot to ask questions 24/7. One can still browse va.gov for information, but you can now ask specific questions to the chatbot, like what's the PACT Act? How do I apply for disability benefits? What's my claim status? You can access the new feature through va.gov's Contact Us page. Then click on the Start Chat button. The chatbot will continue to improve veterans' access to information about the benefits and services they've earned. This is one way VA is offering seamless and secure access to its online resources.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation show. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. That's themisfitnation.com. Check out all our past episodes and get some of the great Misfit Nation gear for you and your family. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are
Misfit Nation. Misfit Nation.